Hey everybody, it's Tony Rubleski with Mind Capture Group. Welcome to Don't Quit, Do It Now YouTube channel. This episode, I want to talk about something I get asked a lot. How do you do what you do as a professional speaker? So I'm asked by corporate CEOs, HR directors, people that are entering the workforce, college students, everybody from the cornucopia of life. How do you become a better speaker? So what I wanted to do is now 26 years as a paid professional speaker is really get to the heart of the matter and give you several nuggets of how to become not only just a better speaker, but a better communicator. So I want to start out with a quote from the late Cavett Robert. He started the National Speakers Association back in the mid 70s. And he would always say, school is never out for the pro. So the beauty as we build this channel and you're subscribing and checking it out is, again, give me comments below what topics you'd like to see. Is this is one that continually throughout the week comes up from people is saying, hey, you make it look easy on stage. And I'm always grateful when people give me good feedback, but I want to take you back in time. It was not always that way. Okay. Being the youngest of 9 kids, I always joke when I'm in front of live groups and trainings that, hey, maybe the professional speaking thing was part of the fact I'm the youngest of 9 kids in a blended family. It was crazy. I loved it. I had a great stepfather. My father passed on when I was younger, but growing up around all that action and being the youngest of 9, I always say that you had to learn to communicate, otherwise you didn't eat. Okay. So hurry up. If you watch me at a buffet line, if you ever went somewhere, I move through a buffet line real quick. So a little bit of the family history there is that, also watching my older brothers and sisters, those dynamics long before we had the internet. Yeah, I'm in my 50s, I'm Gen X, but the old school days. And then in my 20s, when I started to study public speaking, from groups such as Toastmasters to going to public events. This is back in the early 90s, before the internet even came on. I would go to live events such as Tony Robbins, Jim Rohn, Zig Ziglar, the legends in our industry of personal development. You actually had to go there. There was no simulcast. There was no replay. There was no TikTok, any of that. It was the dark ages. So I say all that instruction the last 36 years in the industries. I think it's about 17, 18. I picked up Tony Robbins' book, Awaken the Giant Within. And that changed my destiny in my late formative years as a teenager about how I looked at success, goal setting, how to have a better life. Personal development is that's those 2 words. So what I want to say this episode is really 5 key ways or my favorite ways to capture the audience's attention. I've got my notes here. There's one of the little clues is be prepared. So I'm not going to wing this. And again, in this YouTube channel, we don't do a lot of editing. I'm grateful for Wally and the team here, but I want to be rapid fire, very conversation. Like if we're having a cup of coffee or an iced tea, that you've got a pen and paper handy, unless you're driving or you're on the treadmill. Again, those are the disclaimers on this YouTube channel. Be wise about this, but I want you to take each episode, a story, an idea, maybe a few bullet points, and implement them or share them with your team around the globe, wherever you might be. Okay. So let me give you the first tip to be a better speaker / communicator is number one, you got to practice. Practice makes perfect. And I can tell you long before I had my first paid speaking engagement, for about a decade, I was in a group called Toastmasters. Check it out, toastmasters.org. I don't get any compensation or any affiliate fee for mentioning it. It works. It's the best format I've ever seen for any level of speaker to get great evaluations, to get feedback, to learn how to structure a speech, an introduction, the body, the conclusion. Those things I was taught in my 20s. And again, I was a member for 12 years, full time about 6 or 7 before I went on the road as a full-time speaker. But the evaluations I got, how to learn to think on your feet. I practiced and practiced hundreds of times before I ever got paid $1 to go in front of a group. So again, some speakers don't want to hear that. It sounds too basic. But in the age of complexity, I'm about simple, direct, concise things that work if you do them. Second strategy is when you're in front of a group, you want to lead them. You want to have an outline, a structure, a flow. You want to have a game plan. If you're up there winging it, they're going to know it. And to me, as valuable as time is for all of us on this great planet, the more structured and prepared you are, it also calms you down. You're not going up there like, oh my gosh, my cortisol's high and my adrenaline freaking out. I can see those speakers, and typically if I ask them afterwards, they'll get feedback and say, hey, what were you thinking before you went on? Well, I just was going to maybe throw an idea out or two, or maybe a story, or just read something. Newsflash, they didn't prepare. And the quickest way, unless you you've practiced this over and over, is to continue to look down, look down, look down, and read off your notes. If I did our YouTube channel episode like this every time, you would bail out. You would probably hate me in the comments section, say, dude, stop reading your notes. So you have the notes, then you practice, practice, practice. That goes back to point number one, okay? It's the horse in front of the cart. You have your outline, your notes, then you practice it, okay? Third thing, when you're speaking with a group, particularly live, is you got to get big. I believe in gestures. And if I'm in front of a room of, say, 30 people, the space is much more constricted, but my gestures get big. If I'm in front of a group 500, 600 and I have a full stage and jumbo screens to the right and the left, I can't sometimes see beyond the second or third row because of the lighting in the front monitors on the television screens. So I move. And my mentors taught me, you've got to get big. You've got to be able to move. You've got to keep people guessing where you're going to go next. And I'll give you a clue. Video yourself. You will be shocked. I still watch some videos. I go, I need to keep working on that. Not to nitpick, but I fall into bad habits sometimes, okay? So even the pros are constantly saying, how do I up my game? Not to be cocky, but to get to another higher level where you can connect and resonate with an audience. And again, the bigger the room, the harder it is sometimes to feel like you're one-to-one or one-to-many with an audience. So the practicing, the movement, the gestures, pausing, moving, speaking faster sometimes, slowing down, letting a point stick, letting the audience catch up with your rate of speed. Many speakers, I've been guilty of this, I have high energy, we speak faster than the rate of consumption to hear it. So the last few years, I've really worked on storytelling. And when I tell a story or there's a joke involved, let it land. Let the audience kind of chuckle, have some fun with it. Let them feel like, it's not this race to keep up with Tony. So again, video will help you practicing, having an outline, and studying other great speakers. Watch TEDx talks, for example. Watch stand-up comedians. Watch great pastors. You watch a good pastor or a priest, they are masters at a couple key things: storytelling and conviction. They know the stories, they tie it in with their own personal faith, and you can't really fake that. Now, some of you go, wait, you haven't seen some of the TV preachers. I know that maybe that's a future YouTube episode, but kidding aside, if you watch a great pastor, he or she is convicted. They know their stories. They're not there just winging it. Sometimes the Holy Spirit will capture them. Okay, I'm a believer, but most of the time you can tell they are sold. And if they're sold on it, there's a higher chance it will connect with the audience, either in the live audience or on the television or a simulcast. Okay. Fourth area is to use great questions. Questions engage the mind. It's the old Socratic method from ancient Greece, Socrates. And I've had people say to me, dude, you ask a lot of questions in a keynote. It's not an accident. I use it to keep them thinking, to have them get out of their current worldview, to test them in a positive way or disrupt their thinking to get out of what they think constantly about and say, no, I've never looked at it that way. And a great question, I call it a mind bender, because it gets your mind to go, I had not thought of it that way. And something that a lot of what we're going to share on this channel going forward is thinking for yourself. Not to be critical and negative, but free thinkers are welcomed here. We're going to push you in certain episodes to get way outside your paradigm of comfort. I'm going to ask you certain questions in certain episodes down the road that you're going to go, whoa, that was kind of deep. Good. You chose to be here. Again, like, comment, subscribe below. We'd love to have your feedback. Tell us what you're liking. What points maybe I cover in this one. You say, look, give us more content on that third point, or maybe the second point. All right, and the fifth point I want to share about how to be a great presenter is to use great stories and props. Facts tell and stories sell. I learned that from Zig Ziglar when I was about 22, 23 years old. I've never forgotten that moment. You look at the great orators, speakers throughout history, from Jesus to Buddha to Martin Luther King to Gandhi to speakers such as Obama, okay, President Obama, whether you like him or not, hold that aside, they know how to own a room. They are masters of communication. Okay, you go back in time, they didn't have television and podcasting until about 25, 30 years ago. But you watch the modern presenters. Again, I mentioned TEDx talks earlier. There's a cornucopia of options to watch great presenters, and they tell stories. Okay, I've done a TEDx talk. I was grateful to get one of those. Future episode, we'll talk about how do you do a TEDx talk? And if you don't get a TEDx talk, how do you win one? But what I learned with my coaches was I thought I knew a lot, but I had to learn about telling a better story and make the story much more universal than my typical audience of my books and my clients. So the TEDx talk really had me stretch and grow again. I had an evaluation from a couple of my TEDx coaches, and it was tough. They're like, Tony, you got to keep trimming the talk down, trim it down, slow it down. You got to get rid of that story, and we need a bigger, broader story that's not about you. So it's very humbling. But again, to get better, you have to be coachable, and the stories to me are powerful. Same thing with props. I have my notes here. You look at our set, we have the books that I've written. It's really to say, hey, you know what? Who is this guy? Why should I care? Because you don't have much time. And if you're still tuned in, I thank you and congratulate you, because at the end of this shortly, I'm going to offer a free resource if you put in the comment section, okay? But props, pictures, using visuals. I want you to think in the age of social media, we're all on our phones scrolling that picture is worth 1,000 words. A great story is worth thousands and thousands of words. And to me, a great video, if you're using your presentation, is worth millions, because we're now all very digitally trained to look at visual modalities, from static photos to videos that are short to long form content, such as this YouTube channel. Okay. All right. So if you stayed along this far, I want to encourage you to give us some feedback. Again, hit the like button. Appreciate that as we grow the channel. Give us some comments below. And here's something I want to offer to you if you've made it. I have a report called 26 Lessons from 26 Years as a Paid Professional Speaker. It's a PDF. I will email it to you directly. There is no cost, no obligation. I don't do a lot of one-to-one speaker coaching anymore. Not because I don't like to do it. It's very time intensive, but lots of speakers approach me. I said, you know what? I got to be able to help them. So this 12-page report is basically looking over my shoulder with tips I've learned the last 26 years. If you put in the comment section, you got to put your email too so I can find you. We can't send it to a YouTube address, but put in 26 lessons from a speaker. Our team will know to send you the PDF. Again, we're not going to bombard your email. We want to help you. These are resources that we've culminated the last 26 years, and I still professionally speak 30 to 40 dates per year. I do a couple of live events that I host with other speakers. So I'm very much a practitioner, not a teacher from the past. So appreciate your time, and we'll see you on the next episode.